Welcome to the Digging Deep ATVMX Podcast with your host, hailing from Kokona, Wisconsin, riding a CST Tires SSI decals traveling back Yamaha YFC 450R, four-time ATV Motocross National Champion, number 25, Cody Jansen.
What's up, everybody? We're back. I'm your host, Cody Jansen. Welcome to episode 81 of the Digging Deep ATVMX Podcast, our Three Palms preview show presented by our title sponsor, CST Tires, available for purchase at shop.csttires.com. It's officially race week, the first full slate, full-on event of the 2022 ATV Motocross season is upon us, and we have a really fun event preview episode in store for you tonight. Tremellen Media House's Logan Tremellen will join the show to help rekindle the storylines Daytona left us with and look ahead to the action in store for us this weekend in Texas. Later, Carlie Hetrick will join us for a super fun conversation about the 2022 season, her expectations for her husband, Joel Hetrick, what it was like living out of a camper for months with two little ones, how their family is built on an ATV motocross foundation, and more, including an inside look into the life of Joel Hetrick right here on the Digging Deep ATVMX podcast. So with another fun episode in store to get you ready for the races, let's get to it. But first, let's quickly shout out all of our incredible partners. CST Tires, go to shop.csttires.com today. Yamaha, thanks to Blue Crew. Thanks to SSI Decals, DID Racing Chain, Namura Technologies, Bronco ATV and UTV Components, Impact Solutions, Launderville Steel Enterprises and Concrete Supply, the financial advice of the Haymauer Financial Group, Forworks Carbon, DP Brakes, Factory 43, Integrated Financial Concepts and their Safe to Race and Safe to Ride insurance programs, Binky's Forever ATC Museum, Blendzall Oil, the official oil choice of Digging Deep, Evans Waterless Power Sports Coolant, and Manscaped. Get 20% off and free shipping with code DIGGINGDEEP20 at manscaped.com. The clippers rock, their nose hair trimmer is amazing, and the new Lawnmower 4.0 electric trimmer is next level. Outside the industry sponsors are rare in our sport, so help us keep Manscaped involved with Digging Deep and involved with ATV motocross as a whole long into the future. Manscaped's signature line is the Performance Package 4.0, which includes the new Lawnmower 4.0 electric trimmer that I rely on to keep my beard on point, the best nose hair trimmer ever created, and an array of goodies like deodorant, boxer briefs, a travel bag, and more. So check out Manscaped, I wish I would have sooner, and get 20% off with free shipping by using code DIGGINGDEEP20 at manscaped.com. Support all these great companies that support us, and for any products that fall through the cracks, click that Rocky Mountain ATVMC banner on our website to help us out. The 2022 season is officially here, but we both know you still need parts and gear. No matter what off-road gear parts you need, Rocky Mountain ATVMC has you covered. But before you buy, simply click that Rocky Mountain ATVMC banner on our website. By using our specific link, we get a percentage of what you buy on the back end, enabling you to help us out while purchasing the parts that you need anyway. And did you know that you can buy OEM parts from Rocky Mountain ATVMC as well? Yep. Shipped conveniently right to your door. So click that Rocky Mountain ATVMC banner at diggingdeepatvmx.com to help us out while satisfying all your gear and parts needs. We can't thank you enough for that. You can also find our new Amazon widget on our homepage. So same concept. Click that Amazon logo on the right side of your screen, purchase whatever your heart desires, and that will help us down the road. No new donors to shout out this week, but if you are interested in donating and hearing your name on the show, you can find the Patreon or Buy Me a Coffee donation links on our website. And major thanks to all of you who have donated. You guys freaking rock. Now it's showtime. The 30-second board is up, it's sideways, and the gate is down. Time to dig deep. Let's go. All right, guys, it's officially race week. The first full-on ATV Motocross National of 2022 will take place this weekend deep in the heart of Texas at Three Palms Action Sports Park. And here to help break it all down, brought to you by Blendzall, the oil choice of the Digging Deep ATVMX podcast. To learn more about Blendzall's rich heritage or to shop Blendzall's full line of racing lubricants, visit blendzall.com and follow them at Blendzall on Instagram. Welcome back, Mr. Logan Tremellen of the Tremellen Media House. Logan, thanks so much for being here. Welcome back to Digging Deep.
Yeah, of course. I'm excited to dig into Daytona and heading into Three Palms.
Yeah, man, you're always such a great guest. So I'm stoked to have you on. And Three Palms this weekend. This will be the third year in a row that the series heads down to the Houston area. And Logan, I don't know about you, but I really enjoy Three Palms. I've loved it since the first time we went there in 2020. I've loved that stop on the ATV National Tour.
Yeah, I love Three Palms. The track is really cool, and it gives us a good variety of those big jumps. It gets torn up because it's sandy, and it's just a great location because it's so close to Houston. So there's a lot going on, not just for spectators, but for all the racers as well. There's, restaurants to go to and just stuff to do around the venue.
Yeah, I mean, very rarely do we race somewhere that's not out in the sticks, to have it, very centrally located there. And also, I like how it's a different style track. Like we don't have the soaring eagles anymore, some of those more man-made tracks. And that's kind of what Three Palms is. And not every track has to be natural, like natural terrain. I like that we have this kind of wild card. It's almost like, okay, Daytona's like totally man-made and technical and tight or whatever. And then, Three Palms is a little step towards an outdoor national. And then, going forward, we have all these outdoor nationals. I just like that it's not the same, like a wide open, big, spread out racetrack every weekend. I like that we have something a little different. And that's what Three Palms kind of is for us.
Yeah, I agree. Three Palms is definitely in between a Daytona and like a Unadilla, where it's, still wide. You can still go fast, but it's not nearly as tight as a Daytona,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure. So it's exciting. I really like that race. I hate that it's so far away for some of us. But gotta love that one. So everyone knows it rarely happens at a single ATV national that we don't see a Wienen versus Hetrick duel at some point over the course of the event, but we never got a chance to see that at Daytona. So the next time, we see it, or the first time we see it in 2022 will be the first time that we see it all season. And Joel Hetrick spent that entire main event in either first or second in the top two, while Chad Wienen was kind of the polar opposite. He got out in the mud off the start there and had to claw his way from dead last to fifth. It's crazy to think, something you never would have or could have believed before Daytona, but Chad Wienen finished fifth and was happy about it. But it truly was an amazing ride for the 8-time and reigning champ. So you were there, you were shooting all kinds of photos and doing all your media coverage. So what did you see from both of those guys? I mean, we saw Joel Hetrick just elated, happy as could be after that win. And then with Chad, I mean, at the midway point, I was like, man, are we really seeing this? Like, he was outside the top 10 at the halfway point, and then, ends up fifth, which was an amazing ride for him. So what did you take from those top two guys from Daytona?
Yeah, I mean, Joel was in a great spot from the beginning. He got a good start, and I don't think he was going to try to pass Brandon. They're good friends, and he didn't have to, because Daytona's definitely not has given him a lot of bad luck in the past, and I think he was just super content with where he was at. Yeah. And then Wienen did not get the start he wanted. He was dead last, and that track is probably the worst track on the entire circuit, in the entire series, to have a dead last hole shot in, just because it was so one line. There was no passing. And if you did pass, you had to hit somebody. So he definitely had his work cut out for him, getting a bad start. And honestly, a fifth is impressive considering the track that they had.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. I mean, Daytona's hard to pass on. And then Daytona this year was, at a whole nother level, based on the fact that they couldn't do all the quad changes in the middle of the night, that they typically give us and stuff like that. So it was tough. I mean, what he did was incredible. And Joel too. I mean, he put himself in a good spot. And that's one of the things I was going to ask you next on my list here was, if not for that break, if not for, Brandon Hogue going up in smoke, do you think he would have won Daytona? And I feel the same way you do, that, man, he was going to get it done. Joel wasn't going to risk it. He told us as much when he joined the show here. And it would have sure been cool to see Brandon Hogue show up at Three Palms with red backgrounds on his quad. That would have been so much fun.
Yeah, he was so close. And I didn't look at the lap times to compare what Brandon was running when he was out front and then what Joel was running when he had a free track. But Brandon was running good, and Joel was just right there. He was riding smart, and it got even to the point where I saw Brandon's bike start to smoke, and I felt it. I was like, oh no, not this. And then I was thinking oh, well, I hope Joel slows down a little bit, because if Brandon breaks down 90% of the track, Joel would have just ran right in the back of him, and then they'd both get tangled up. But thankfully that didn't happen. Sucks for Brandon, but he was really close, and I'm sure he's going to keep on getting closer.
Oh yeah, for sure. I think I felt so bad for him. Right. I felt so bad for him. I mean, I had tears in my eyes. I know I said this on the show already, but I had tears in my eyes because a guy gets that close, and he's been working towards this for a long time now. It feels like, even though he's a fourth year pro or whatever it is at this point, but it just feels like he's been working, and wanted to see him get it, but his day will come. I'm confident in that. So before we move on to Brandon and his, that kind of group of, podium contenders, let's finish our coverage of Joel Hetrick and Chad Wienen. So Joel comes in with the momentum, obviously, from his Daytona win and the momentum of winning at Three Palms last year. But Chad Wienen's going to want to swing back after missing the podium for just the second time in a decade, which is amazing. But Logan, you're tied for 42nd, just 5 points out of the lead in Digging Deep ATVMX Fantasy. So I need to take notes from you. I need to take pointers from you. I'm at 189th and it's my game. I don't know how that works, but who do you foresee taking the top spot at Three Palms between those top two? I'm assuming it's going to come to those top two guys, but who do you think is going to take the top spot at Three Palms?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. It always comes down to the track, because we've seen this track not get that deteriorated for the pros, and then we've seen this track just get so bad to the point where when Joel was on a Honda, he couldn't make the jumps.
Yes,
so I think that's really what it comes down to. And I mean, now they're both on Yamahas, so we'll see. I mean, I don't think Wienen's going to come out just swinging like crazy because he got a fifth. He's still in this for the championship. He still knows the big picture.
Yep.
And Joel's super happy, so he might be a little bit calmer because he made it through Daytona without an accident, which is great in his book. So I don't know. Do you want to guess? Is that what you're trying to get out of me here? I didn't do my picks yet.
You're going to have to put somebody down. So what I will say is, I don't even know that I have a pick yet, right? Because Joel was really, really good there last year. And the listeners here are going to hear an interview later in this episode with Carlie, who very mimicked kind of what Joel said when he joined the show about he just is in a different headspace now, and he's not going to rush anything, and he's not freaking out. And, this good headspace has created maybe a little more calmer vibes for him. He's just going to roll with the punches, kind of like you said, he would have taken a second at Daytona. So I don't think he's going to come out guns blazing necessarily and do anything crazy. It's not the Joel Hetrick of old. I also don't think that Chad is going to do anything crazy either, but both of them want to win. Last year we saw Joel get 2 hole shots and go and basically do his thing, ride consistent, ride out front. Chad, though, made some, he didn't get the starts he needed, and he still ended up being relatively close by the end. So I think that this race is a toss-up. You referenced in 2020, Joel didn't have anything for Chad there. I think a lot of that had to do with the bike, though. Like you said, he couldn't make the jumps. He was, coming up short in those pro section doubles and whatnot. But man, it's a toss-up. So then my mind goes to the start. If we're splitting hairs, it's the start. And how do you not favor the whole shot king, Joel Hetrick, in that?
Yeah.
But it's going to be interesting because the storylines come together, and Chad is going to want to right some wrongs. He knows he's got to make up a little bit of a points gap. I mean, obviously that's not a big deal at this point, but a fifth still isn't going to sit pretty with him. He's going to want to get his first podium. He's going to want to get his first wins of 2020. And Joel Hetrick is not going to want to let that happen. So it's basically the two immovable objects, or however that saying is, and they're going to go to battle on Saturday, and it's going to be a lot of fun to watch.
Yeah, I'm so excited to watch it.
So that being said, so let's finish up then Brandon Hogue. We'll talk about that next group of riders there. And we both know that Brandon is going to come out for redemption. He's going to come out swinging. He's going to come out maybe for a little revenge. If Joel Hetrick or Chad Wienen is not doing that, they're not going crazy. Brandon Hogue might come out with throwing everything out there, right? Everything but the kitchen sink out there to make this thing happen at round 2. And I have a feeling, though, jokes aside, I have a feeling that we're going to see a very motivated and a very fast Brandon Hogue on Saturday. He referenced, not having the best luck or not feeling that good at this race last year, but he got tangled with Jeffrey, and there was other stuff that went on. It wasn't just straight up riding. I think that we're going to see him up front. We've heard it in his voice how happy, positive, confident, whatever he is on this new music racing team ride. And I think in his head already is, I'm a podium guy. I should contend. We saw it at Daytona. I think we might see more of that at Three Palms. I really feel that way.
Yeah, I mean, any top 3, top 4, top 5 rider that gets the taste of being up front like that will definitely have a fire lit under them, just because it's a feeling that, I mean, I've never experienced it, but I understand, because Joel and Chad have been on another level for so long, and like just talking with all the pros, I know that that's just like, it just feels completely different when you're in front of those guys compared to being behind them, So
Yep.
I'm sure Brandon is definitely going to have another level of confidence throughout the entire rest of the season.
Well, and the thing is, and we chatted about this, that Brandon wasn't getting, I think, the credit that he deserved by some people out there, that it was, they were crediting the track more than Brandon for that ride. And yes, like the track deserved some, some portion of the blame there, or the credit there. But Brandon, I mean, you can watch the videos, you can look at the lap times, like he wasn't holding Joel up. I mean, yes, like Joel Hetrick was a little faster, but it's not like he was, egregiously blocking Joel Hetrick or holding him up in the one line track. Like they were going close to the same speed. So in the back of Brandon's mind, that is, hey, let me go get a start. And he said, Daytona is different. It's a different animal. But we're going to see him, in the back of his mind, I guarantee he knows that he can be up there. So that's going to be fun to watch. So Joel Hetrick, Chad Wienen, they're the obvious podium favorites per the usual, which always, leaves one last podium spot for that rest of that crew to fight for that we're talking about. And I think that, that's what each guy, every one of those guys wants to be, that guy that kind of fills the Thomas Brown role of being the guy that, is above everybody else, is the clear podium guy, and is a guy that can kind of maybe get up and dice it up with those guys up in the front. Thomas Brown, obviously a Texan, I think, especially at this race, particularly, but I think we almost got to look at another Texan, Bryce Ford. He probably comes in as the podium favorite for the Three Palms round. He podiumed at Three Palms in both 2020 and 2021. So it's hard to believe that he won't do it again this time around.
Yeah, I mean, this is the track that Bryce always gives Chad and Joel a run for their money.
Yes.
We see it every year.
Yes.
And I mean, not only does he get to practice on it the most, but it just seems like it just fits his energy the most. It's close to home. He has family there. And it's just every year. I mean, I remember watching Joel and Chad both struggle to get around him in the past 2 years. And it's super exciting to watch races like that, where it's not just Chad and Joel the whole time, where other people are thrown in the mix.
I love that. In two-wheeled racing, like in outdoor motocross, you see like the local guy at, Washougal or Southwick, some of like the niche rounds where you see guys that can dice it up with guys that typically they wouldn't be able to dice it up with. Now that's not the case with Bryce. He's a podium guy, but to see him like have an extra gear at the Three Palms round is always exciting, because it's kind of a wild card. And, so I'll make a bold prediction right now. I think Bryce Ford comes out and he gets fast qualifier. I think that Bryce Ford gets at least one hole shot. And I think that he's going to lead for a little bit and make things interesting for a while. I truly think that this is going to happen. I think it's going to be a coming out party of sorts for Bryce Ford. We've seen him do all of those. We've seen him fast qualifier. We've seen him get the hole shot. We've seen him lead a little bit, but I think we might see him do it just a little bit more, lead a little bit more, and dice it up with those guys a little bit more. And man, if it actually happens, it's going to be so much fun to watch. Like he's one of those guys, you kind of, you hate to see Joel and Chad come out 1-2, right? And if he's up there, or he's in the middle of those guys, or he's at the front of those guys, it's going to be really interesting.
This is definitely the track to make that prediction.
Yeah. Yeah. So I called it bold. It's probably not that bold. But okay. So talking about that group, then the guys that Bryce, is typically kind of mixing it up with, we have to expand to this next rider. This is why tier 2, if you will, referencing fantasy stuff, is so damn hard to pick, because this next rider was a monster at this event last year as a brand new pro. He's coming off a podium, second place at the opener, despite a short off season due to injury. I'm talking about Max Lindquist, of course. Logan, this kid is only 18 years old. He's been, so good, so solid, so consistent. It's hard to even picture him off the podium at this point, legitimately. Like he almost feels like a fixture. He's so solid, but there's only 3 spots. And often, there's only one spot, like we said, left after Joel and Chad take their 2 top spots, which is traditionally how it goes. But Max, he's looking like he's going to be a podium contender for the rest of time, or as long as he's racing, at least.
Yeah, I mean, he has so much life in front of him, you know. So just to see how the results that he's already doing, and we're talking about Three Palms last year. I don't even remember where he started or what he placed, but I remember at the end of the race, he was a lot closer to the guys in the front than he was in the beginning. Exactly, yeah, fourth.
Mm-hmm.
I just remember like watching him, like he is like flying. Like his lap
Mm-hmm.
times are stupid fast at Three Palms, and then at Daytona, you know, I didn't even think he was going to race, and then he
Yeah,
came out and did amazing.
I know.
So yeah, we have to definitely include him when we're talking about the
It,
podium finish.
Oh my gosh. And last year it was interesting because he just about podiumed at Daytona. He finished fourth and he was really pressuring, I think, Wesley Wolf for third. And so I'm like, well, okay. And super impressive for the 17-year-old rookie. And then we go to this first outdoor round and I'm like, okay, I wonder how he'll stack up. Maybe not quite as competitive. And once again, he comes, he finishes fourth. It was amazing to start his pro career that way. And the other thing was in one of those motos, he started in like 12th or something stupid and got all the way up there by the end. Like you said, he was way closer to those front guys at the end of the race than he was at the beginning. And I mean, that is burned in my memory. And as we go down this list here, there's a couple guys that like are really strong at Three Palms. And that's what's going to make it so tough to pick. But Max, I mean, man, like you just, like I've ran out of good things to say about the kid because it's amazing. He acts like, or looks like a 5 or 6 or 7 year vet. And he's a second year pro. Fun fact. Okay. Get this. Second year pro, Max Lindquist has the same amount of podiums as Nick Janusa and Brandon Hogue with 3. It's amazing. It's amazing because Nick has been a guy who's been in the top 5 mix every single year of his professional career, which is like 7 or 8 at this point. And Max has the same amount of podiums. It's unreal. The ceiling with this kid is, I mean, it's ceiling's the roof.
Yeah, I mean, I completely agree. And if it wasn't for that one small mishap at the end of last season, who knows where he would be?
Exactly.
I mean, he just came off an entire off season of not being able to train.
Exactly. It's unreal. It's unreal. That's what I kind of came away from Daytona thinking, man, he got a second at Daytona, was super impressive. Never slowed down, never faded. And he had like a few weeks on the bike. So to think that like, this is his groundwork, this is him laying the groundwork. If he's going to just get better from here, I mean, he could be competing with those front two for, wins or something by the end of this thing. If he's truly going to graduate this quickly, I don't know that we've seen anything like this yet, in the last decade. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I think the only thing that I'd be curious to see is he definitely doesn't have as much seat time as everybody else. And coming into a track like Three Palms, where it's not one moto format like Daytona was, but it's 2 moto format, and there's more there's more time on the track, and the track's arguably going to be a lot rougher than Daytona. Yep. So as long as he has enough seat time come Saturday to keep that pace up, then I'm sure we'll see him get a great position.
I mean, we've never seen anything different though. We've never seen anything but him being rock solid. So, and now he's got another month basically, right? Another 3 weeks at least of riding. So I have to believe that he's going to be ready to rip on Saturday. 2 riders that finish out that tier 2 grouping, again, referencing Digging Deep ATVMX Fantasy, are Jeffrey Rastrelli and Nick Janusa. Jeffrey Rastrelli is riding high after a stellar podium performance at the opener on his new Rastrelli racing ride backed by Rocket Machining and Design. And it's the polar opposite for Nick Janusa, who's coming off a 7th at the opener. Not that the finish, not that the result was what he wanted. Obviously, the result wasn't what he wanted, but it was like not due to his riding. It was obviously due to the mud and the very one-line track at Daytona. So we know what to expect from both of these guys. They're 2 veterans. They're always in the mix. But what I can't stop picturing, kind of like we just talked about with, remembering the rides that Max Lindquist had, remembering the rides that Bryce had in the past, I can't stop picturing in the back of my mind Nick Janusa holding off Chad Wienen for half of that first moto last year at Three Palms, where it was like Chad was trying everything he could, and Nick just rode his lines and was able to keep him behind him. I think that Nick is going to be one to watch. And then obviously we can't pass up Jeffrey too, but Nick's going to be one to watch. And then Jeffrey too, who looks like a new guy. He's obviously way more fit. He's, he's toned down. He's lost some weight. He looks like a warrior compared to how he looked in the past. And both of those guys are, Jeffrey's going to try to prove that that first round wasn't a fluke, that this is the new him. And Nick Janusa is going to try to put that thing, on the box and show that 7th wasn't, kind of what he's made of, at least that we saw at Daytona there.
Yeah, I did talk to Janusa a lot before Daytona, but obviously I'm sure he's frustrated with that start. And so much of finishing at Daytona comes down to how you get in the start, and getting a not good start. And they were so close. There was like 5 guys bumper to bumper the entire moto, and he was in that pack. So getting around them is just super difficult. And I'm sure coming into 3 pumps, he's going to want to prove himself and show that, he had a great off season and he can run with those guys, which we know he can. Jeffrey, on the other hand, I talked to for like an hour before the race, and he was just super pumped before the race on the whole ride and the whole situation, how everything worked out. Like it was his idea to do what he did this year and go off on his own and build his own program. And I feel like he's so pumped just for where he's at and just proving everybody wrong, because I'm sure he got so much crap for going off on his own and doing what he did. But yeah, I feel like he's just really on a high right now, and he's just going to keep on riding that train through the rest of the races.
Well, how many times have we listened to Jeffrey? I'm sure he said it to you too, where he's like just not in a good space. He's beat down, he's physically hurt, he's physically dealing with some stuff. He's not super excited to be at the races. And that obviously, any rider that's dealing with that, you can tell as a spectator that rider isn't maybe pumped to be there. Jeffrey is the total opposite of that this year. He's pumped as could be. He's fit as could be. He's happy to be riding with the support that he has. He's got his own program, so he's got all this ownership over it. And yeah, I think that we're just seeing like this new lease on his career. And he's now went from a guy already a couple years ago that was telling me, hey, like, man, I'm ready to be done with this, to, hey, like, I'm going to do this. As long as I can. If I can do it as long as Chad's done it, I would like to do it that long. And that's awesome to see, because those guys like Jeffrey, awesome personalities, fan favorites, good dudes at the racetrack. Our sport needs those guys. Our sport is built of those guys. So guys like Jeffrey, we don't want to lose. And I think that, each round out, he's going to be trying to prove that, hey, like, this was a good move for me and I'm here to stay. I'm going to be the best version of myself now, and not, years ago when he was in the podium mix every weekend. He's going to try to prove that this is the best him ever. And that's going to be a fun thing to monitor going forward.
Yeah, I completely agree with everything you just said about him just being in a super good spot. Last year, before 2021, I was at Jeffrey's house for like a month, and I didn't see the level of excitement out of him that I saw at Daytona this year. He was just super pumped on everything. I think he showed me and Noah his quad for like 30 minutes straight, just walking around us, showing every little part. And he was just super excited to go out and start riding. That's
awesome. I'm so happy for him, and happy to see, him get that podium at Daytona. That was, Hollywood script worthy, right? Just awesome to see. And obviously want to see him, be successful going forward. All of these guys. I love all of these guys, right? I love pulling for all of these guys, but the fact that they're that competitive, the fact that it's like splitting hairs and pulling straws is why it's so exciting. So Digging Deep ATVMX Fantasy Tier 2, maybe we can get a pick out of you this time. Max Lindquist, Jeffrey Rastrelli, Bryce Ford, Nick Janusa, Brandon Hogue. We just went over all the storylines heading into this race. I know obviously qualifying is an additional factor. I feel like I've learned that maybe you shouldn't put a ton of stock into that. Like, I feel like the stuff, maybe your gut feelings or your preconceived notions is probably what should kind of go with more than qualifying. But right now, if you had to pick right now, who would you be adding to your 4-man ATV fantasy lineup in tier 2 there?
I think I would go with Bryce Ford.
Yeah.
This track has always just been his track. He has the momentum just from previous years. And it's local. It's local town vibes,
Yeah. I was trying to sell you on one of them other guys, Logan, but I would go with
they're all great.
They're
all great guys.
I know. I think I got to go with Bryce Ford too. Especially with my prediction that he's going to be fast qualifier, get a whole shot or whatever. If he's fast qualifier, he's going to be on tons of teams. That happens all the time.
Yeah.
We'll get right back to the show, but now a word from our sponsors. And thank you for listening to these ads. Without these great companies, none of this would be possible. Show your support for the people who support us. Welcome to the team, two-time champ Joel Hetrick, who dropped the biggest news of the offseason when he announced his move to CST Tires. The CST takeover has been gaining momentum over the past several seasons, and now Joel Hetrick and his Phoenix Racing teammate Jeffrey Rastrelli are the most recent additions. The Pulse MXR tire has helped lead riders like Thomas Brown to race wins and 3 consecutive Quad Cross of Nations titles, Nick Janusa to the Pro Class podium, myself Cody Jansen as I rode my Pulse MXR fronts and white label soft compound rears to back-to-back national championships in the Junior 25 Plus class, and the most recent additions have us thinking a Pro Class national championship is on the horizon for CST tires. The Pulse MXR tire, available in soft and standard compounds, offers the highest level of traction, most predictable cornering, and superior wear characteristics when compared to the competition. Visit shop.csttires.com to join the CST takeover today, or prepare to be beat by someone who did. Joel Hetrick, Jeffrey Rastrelli, Nick Janusa, myself, and so many others are believers in CST tires. Are you? CST Tires, where passion meets the ground. You already know we're Team Blue Crew here at the Digging Deep ATVMX Podcast. Whether it's second all-time winningest, 7-time and reigning ATVMX Pro Class National Champion Chad Wienen, or 6-time and current XC1 Pro ATV GNCC National Champion Walker Fowler, it's clear the podium-proven Yamaha YFC 450R is the winning choice of sport ATVs. This unprecedented success for the YFC 450R, its unrivaled quality and performance, and the undeniable fact that Yamaha is the leading OEM supporter of ATV racing has created a Yamaha takeover within the sport quad market. Better yet, Yamaha's Blue Crew Racer Support Program is back and even stronger for 2021, meaning Yamaha riders are about to cash in on higher payouts and more prize opportunities, including a chance to win a brand new YFZ 450R. For more info, head over to YamahaBlueCrew.com, follow them on social media at Yamaha Outdoors, and check out Yamaha's full proven off-road lineup at YamahaOutdoors.com today. SSI Decals is a name synonymous with ATV racing, synonymous with big-time success, and absolutely synonymous with the best-looking decals around. An offshoot of their parent company that was established in 1947, SSI first took shape from owner Ian Harris's passion for ATVs. With what started as just making numbers and decals for riders like Chad Wienen, the company quickly took off, and today you couldn't imagine ATV Motocross without SSI decals. The graphics maker and designer now supports all the top teams in ATV Motocross, as well as teams and riders racing GNCC, Work Series, Pro Motocross and Supercross, Canadian Pro Motocross, short course off-road trucks, UTVs, snowcross, and, oh yeah, 6-time world champion top fuel drag racer Clay Milliken. No project is too big or too small for SSI decals, making your identity stick with championship level graphics. Head over to SSIDecals.com today and then maybe call the doctor because things are about to get sick. The Digging Deep ATVMX Podcast is brought to you in part by DID and their wide range of championship-winning chains. From the street to the track and everywhere in between, DID chains are designed to give you the optimal riding experience with great performance and increased chain life. Consistent to the core, pick up your box of reliability today. DID, what drives you?
We are proud to be partnered with Numira Technologies. Since 2001, Numira has led the charge in the ATV and side-by-side market, covering more applications than anyone else in the industry. Numira's advanced piston technology uses a NASA-exclusive aluminum alloy that helps to reduce expansion rates, that allows for tighter tolerances, and leads to higher overall engine performance for your machine. For more information about Numira's wide offerings of pistons, rings, gaskets, and industry-leading top-end repair kits, visit your local dealer or online at www.numira.com. Numira Technologies, pistons with an attitude. We are pleased to be partnered with Bronco ATV and UTV Components. Bronco has been an industry leader in replacement hard parts and accessories for all makes and models for over 15 years. With a catalog that includes a full line of electrical components, engine internals like rods and cylinders, all the way down to suspension parts and bearing kits. Bronco is your hard part source for whatever you need for whatever you ride. Available exclusively through distributors around the world. Visit your local dealer or online at broncoatv.com. Forworks Carbon's innovative lightweight products include top-notch seat covers, carbon fiber, and plastic hoods, gas tank covers, exhaust shields, shock guards, and much more. Whether you have an ATV, UTV, or snowmobile, Forworks has the goodies that will improve your ride and make you salivate. We trust Forworks for increased function and a sexier look, and you should too. Forworks Carbon, always working hard to bring high quality and innovative parts to the market. Check them out today at fwcarbon.com. Carbon.com.
So tier 3 is headlined by rookie Zach Decker, who obviously has a chance. If he has another good stellar ride like he did at Daytona, I would think that we'd probably have to move him up to tier 2 then in the race that follows. But tier 3, Zach Decker, rookie phenom. Joining him in that tier is working class hero Michael Allred, former top 5 finisher Logan Stanfield, and former podium finisher back in 2019 Cody Ford. Who are you leaning towards here? It's hard to pick against Zach Decker. Like I said, he finished a very impressive 6th at Daytona. We know he's fast. That was never in question. I just wanted to see him go out and put together a solid moto, a consistent finish, and that's exactly what he did at Daytona. You couldn't have asked for anything more from Zach in his debut. So that's going to be a tough thing to pick against is Zach. I'm sure his pick trend is going to be super high because again, like that was a tough track too. I mean, we've referenced the one-lined nature and stuff of it, but there was, these giant potholes and stuff everywhere. I mean, it was pretty nasty, rough at the same time. There was these big landmines and whatever. So it's going to be hard to pick against him. I think that his pick trend is going to be way up, but who would you pick in that tier 3 there?
I would say Decker's the only one out of these that I haven't watched ride a ton. Like I've seen Allred, Stanfield, and Cody all race in the past few years. So I kind of know where they stand. So I think Zach definitely has like just the most upside, the most unknown potential out of all these guys in my mind. So I honestly think that he could definitely have some podium finishes this year. Is it Three Palms? I don't know. But I mean, he rides a lot. They have an amazing facility down in Florida, and I mean, I've seen him in Pro-Am, and they definitely lay down some fast times in Pro-Am. So I'm going out of these 4, Zach Decker.
Yeah, I think it was Casey on one of the maybe the preview, the review of Daytona or whatever, talking about how Zach would run and battle with Bryce in Pro-Am. So I mean, it's not a stretch to think that he podiums. I think the only reason why he's in that tier to start is he just needed to show like, hey, I'm not going to blow myself up or blow myself out going crazy at some of these races. I think that, yes, his upside is probably higher than those other guys. I think that those other guys would probably admit that too. So it's going to be fun to watch him mature. I think he's going to be another one of those guys that's going to be a stellar, like you said, podium contender, whether it's this year or future years. He's going to be one of those guys. There's no doubt in my mind. Like you said, he's got the advantage of the track and everything else that he has that maybe some other guys don't. So, and he's just a stellar talent, good kid, fast kid. I think, and maybe this is going out on a limb here. I got to make up some points because I'm in 189th. But I think that my pick in tier 3 is going to be Cody Ford. No surprise that he shines in Texas at a track that he's quite familiar with, but the results show that he's always seemed to finish better than his average at Three Palms. That like you said, you kind of know what you're going to get from him. He's going to be consistent. He's not going to fade. Give me Cody Ford in tier 3.
Yeah. I mean, that's a great guess. Cody last year was one year where he just really seemed actually excited to race again, where a few years ago before that, you didn't see the excitement. You didn't see him rushing, like pushing out there on the track. And last year he started to resemble Bryce at a lot of the races. Like I couldn't tell when I was sorting footage. I would put Cody's footage in Bryce's photo on accident just because he was just riding more aggressive. So, I mean, if this was the race for him to have a good finish, it's definitely Three Palms.
Yeah. So in 2020, and from conversations with the Ford family there, I think that Cody kind of found his footing in that pro mod class when they had that. And, he got up there, he won some of those races and he was always battling at the front. It was like he kind of found himself again because he struggled at the beginning of that year with, I think some injury stuff and he was working to try to get healthy.
Yeah, he did.
Right. And then last year, he kind of got right at the end of 2020. He got I think a couple top 10s there. And I think that Three Palms was one of them. And then last year, man, he finished in the top 10 at every race, but the very first race. And that's incredible. It was just awesome to see Cody get back to the Cody that we saw in 2019 in his rookie season. And then obviously, this class is so stacked. It's like he almost grabbed even another gear last year. So I'm excited to see what he has for Three Palms, because I think that if he goes out there, has a good finish, like it's going to even elevate him that much more for all the races ahead, kind of like we saw last year. And that's exciting. He's a good kid. He's so smart. It's like almost sometimes I think, is he too smart for his own good on the racetrack, right? You kind of got to not think too much to be super fast on an ATV or in motocross in general. But I think I'm going to go with Cody Ford there. So it'd be fun to track. I like all those guys too. Obviously, Allred and Stanfield, all those guys are so solid. And again, that's another tier where it's splitting hairs. So it's kind of fun to think of those three guys who are almost interchangeable. They're very, very similar. And then you got Zach as kind of the wild card. So kind of fun to see how that plays out. And again, like Zach could be a good fantasy pick. That's what Max was at the beginning of last year. He was a really good fantasy pick because he was he's in tier 3. He hadn't proved himself yet. And so we'll see what happens going forward there. I'm sure eventually, whether it's next week or a few weeks or, a month or whatever, Zach is going to be elevating to that tier 2 role with those other guys. So finally, tier 4 features Patrick Turini, Vince Merman, and Cesar Jimenez. I think you can make arguments for each one of these guys. Turini is coming off a top 10 at the opener. Merman ended 2021 strong with a top 10. And Jimenez was a fantasy darling last year. He was class of the field in tier 4. So all are viable options. Who's your guy, Logan?
To be honest, I don't know. I don't even remember watching any of them ride at Daytona. Now, when I'm at Daytona, I have clients that I shoot for, so I'm so focused. Some races I don't even watch.
Of course.
And for some reason, I don't remember seeing any of these guys ride. I know Turini and Jimenez were both at Deckers, so they definitely have seat time under them.
Yep.
But yeah, I'm sure you know more about how their off season is going than I do.
Patrick Turini, top 10 at that opener. Like you said, in kind of the last tier, you kind of know what you're getting from these guys. I feel like, we kind of know what to expect from Vince. He's obviously trending upward. He was really good at the end of the season last year. And Cesar doesn't have a ton of time underneath his belt because I think he shattered one wrist or arm. So he hadn't had much time under his belt. Like Daytona was questionable at one point. So just awesome to see him out there. Obviously he's going to have a few weeks of now building. And I think that's what makes it interesting. So Patrick Turini, he's raced in the States twice, both times at Daytona. This year he's in for the full season. It's going to be interesting to see what he looks like because he's totally looked the part of a top 10 pro last year at Daytona and this year at Daytona. We haven't seen him at any other track though. Now you might have seen him at Deckers. You guys would then know a little bit more than I do on how he looks on, these bigger racetracks. But I think again, that one's splitting hairs and it sounds like Marshall Smith is out for this one. So I don't know that we're going to have any other guys in that tier 4. It might just be these 3 guys. And again, it's kind of like splitting hairs. I don't know. I think I probably just go Patrick Turini. He's got a top 10 under his belt already, but Cesar Jimenez, a guy who probably spins some laps down there for their open rides and stuff. I would think. And again, I called him a fantasy darling all year last year because he was the tier 4 guy at most races, so it's hard to argue against that.
Yeah.
So you're not giving me any more. You don't feel passionately about any of these guys.
I'll have to watch practice before I say anything. All
right. We won't hold you down. Talking to listeners here, who are you going to be picking? Get those picks in at atvfantasy.com before lineups lock 1 hour after the final qualifying session, which is also 1 hour before Pro Moto 1, which this weekend should be 12:30 local time, 12:30 central time, because I believe the motos are at 1:30 and 3:30 like last year. So that should be exciting. Can't wait for those races to finally go down quickly then, Logan. So all the classes were wild at Daytona, but I'm really excited to see how things shake out at Three Palms and Pro Sport. So Brett Music grabbed the big win, obviously, there at Daytona with Blair Miller and Chase Seeley joining him on the podium. But guys like Dane Molander and Joe Chambers, some of those other guys are going to want to make a splash after a disappointing opening round. Who will you have your eyes on at Three Palms? There's obviously so many guys to choose from, but anybody else that you're going to have your eyes on other than the guys that I mentioned there?
See, Daytona was so hard to judge off that because, there was a huge pile up at the first turn. It was just kind of a mess, especially for Pro Sport. Pro kind of got out lucky considering track conditions. For Pro Sport was just, it just wasn't prime. So I'm sure we're going to see a lot different finishing positions at Three Palms, but we're definitely going to see, Music and Molander up there. Molander just had I think he got caught in that pile up and he just had terrible luck in the main. But yeah.
Yeah, so it's going to be interesting. Like you said, I feel like, and I think that Casey said the same thing on our review show. I don't think that we learned anything at Daytona. I mean, obviously,
No.
5 seconds into the race when Brett Music was out front, I'm like, okay, Brett's going to win this race. I mean, with the mud, one line, even other than that though, he's obviously one of the fastest guys in the class. So with a start, I'm like, yeah, he's going to check out. I think that obviously Blair Miller, he's always going to be in the mix. Chase Seeley very well could be too, but there's going to be a lot of guys that are going to come out and going to like picture this as their opening round, right? Like, let's flush Daytona. It doesn't matter. It was only, like a preseason race for some of these guys, right? So it's going to be fun to see how it all shakes out. I think that we're going to take a whole lot more from this next race than we did from Daytona. What do you know about Salinas? Is he going to be in there at all? Have you had any contact with those guys at all?
I've only talked to Aaron a little bit over the past few days. Didn't ask him how his training's been going, but I know he'll be racing. I know he's fast. So
okay. Oh, He's definitely fast. He's definitely fast. He was one of the guys that we were missing at Daytona. Didn't know the scoop there. Obviously, being a Texas kid, I know that. I wonder if school is a factor here. I know he's going to college now, but so I didn't know if maybe that affected Daytona or whatever, but I know that he'll be a guy that's in the mix. He was a guy that was in the mix last year. I think he got a podium there last year. So he'll be a guy to watch for. And I knew that you had some connections to that crew. So I wanted to ask you about that before we got out of here. What about WMX? So how cool was it to see some of those younger girls, the Kinsey Osborns, the Madison Trowers dicing it up at the front? That was so cool to see. I told Kinsey it was like, Chad Weenan and Joel Hetrick being up front and having somebody get in the middle of them. It's just awesome to see.
Yeah, it was so awesome, the WMX class. There were so many people. I don't remember how many people were signed up, but there was a lot of girls signed up for that class. Even Carrie said, like, we might need to consider having them here every year because there's a lot of signups.
Full game.
They just weren't, nobody was expecting it. Even Andrea wasn't expecting that many signups.
Right.
So that was really awesome. And yeah, I mean, it was great racing.
So who gets it done on the ladies' side in Texas?
I'm definitely saying Andrea. Andrea's, we've supported each other. My family's supported her forever. So, I mean, she's definitely proving to be a force to be reckoned with in the WMX class.
Oh yeah. She's the Chad Weenan of the WMX class. Obviously, I've been on record. She's somebody who comes from, Wisconsin here by me, grew up racing her dad. So, you and I, similar ways. We have connections to her. I almost have a gut feeling that this might be Neve Shaw's time, though, to put this thing on the top of the box. She won there last year, and that's what makes me think that. And obviously, she wasn't happy on the podium at Daytona. She was not happy. So I just have this feeling that this might be her weekend in Texas. So we'll see. But it's just awesome to see. It's awesome to see the class growing, like you said. So many girls that are enthusiastic about this whole thing. So many like young and up and coming girls that are. I mean, just it's awesome to see the way that they're growing the female side of ATV racing. I love that. And they're doing all kinds of stuff, giving back. Have you seen that on social media where, they're pairing them up with younger girls? And I just think that's the coolest thing they're giving these girls, the smaller girls, the up and coming girls, something to really shoot for and have connections with these, their heroes, their pros. And I think that that's just an awesome thing. I think all the people, credit to the people that are going out of their way to give these, girls the spotlight that they deserve. I think that that's the coolest thing.
Yeah, I think it's super cool. And I'm actually grateful to partner with the series this year. We're going to be doing recap videos for the WMX class throughout the entire season. So I'm super proud and excited about that.
Yeah, exactly. So I can't wait. I can't wait for all this. I can't wait to see, all the rest of the classes unveiled this weekend. Without question, there'll be riders that nobody's expecting, nobody's talking about that are going to make statements at this race. So I can't wait to see that. I can't wait to see those riders and which riders are going to be the ones that put the ATV racing world on notice. And you just referenced it there, Logan. You're rolling out some new and exciting stuff for 2022, including WMX and amateur recap videos. That's so rad. So tell me a little bit more about that.
Yeah, so we're going to be doing little recap videos for WMX at every single round this year, just to give a little bit more coverage for the amateurs. And then also 3 amateur classes on top of WMX. That's going to alternate every single round through the entire season.
Cool.
So ultimately, when the season's over, every single class will have a recap video done throughout the entire season. That's the goal,
That's
just try
awesome.
to give more eyes to the amateurs throughout this year.
That is awesome. Credit to you. That's so cool. You know how it is. Cause you were a amateur rider. So obviously when I was an amateur, a kid growing up, like even when you just find a photo of you, at least that's how it was in my day. If you found a photo of you on ATV Scene or ATV Riders, it was the coolest thing. Right. So, to give some of those classes and those riders some additional coverage, some videos and all that stuff, I think that's awesome. So credit to you for that. That's so cool. I know that the weekends at the races and obviously in between too, but you work yourself, to the bone, and you're obviously adding to your plate with this, but that's awesome. Credit to you for all that you do for the sport. So I've told you before, I absolutely love your work. Always have. Can people still get a hold of you for shooting, to have you shoot for them this season? Is that something that people can still do?
Yeah. So this year, the main reason I made a deal with ATV Motocross is just because the media requirements are kind of a gray area for this series, whereas like other series, like trucks that I shoot, it's so like, exactly what you need to do in order to get access to the track.
Okay.
And in the past years, like at the ATV Motocross, I always, I've sold just to cover, my expenses and try to build, somewhat of a, media company around motocross. And I was like, I want to make sure that I'm actually giving back to the series, not just, going and selling my own, product. So this year, we're doing those recap videos, and in exchange, me, Tremellen Media House will be at every single weekend. It might not be me because I have some overlaps, but Noel Mickelson, past pro ATV racer, he is working for me full time now. So we'll be at every single weekend or every single race, getting coverage of, all of our clients, amateur races, WMX, etc.
Awesome. So people who do want to contact you about you shooting for them, you guys shooting for them, what is the best way to get a hold of you?
Best way would be honestly just Instagram. Instagram is what I post on mainly. Instagram, TikTok, Facebook. Get a hold of us on there. My email's on there. The website's on there. Any way you can get a hold of us, come find us at the races. At races, we're normally on the track all day. But yeah, before Friday or Saturday, get a hold of us and we'll definitely work something out.
Awesome. I love to hear that. You've obviously shot for me for years now. I love your stuff. I absolutely, again, I'll tell it to you. I say it to you all the time, but your stuff is my favorite. I love it. And you're just so professional. That's why I love having you on the show. I love working with you. You just are it's like you got all your I's dotted, your T's crossed. I love that about you. So I can't thank you enough on a personal level for everything that you've done for me over the years, and love what you're building at Tremellen Media House. So lastly, I want to touch on a couple listener questions before we get out of here, starting with one from Dari Forever, who asked, what will Joel Hetrick's graphic theme be at Three Palms? Got any ideas?
I have no idea. I hope it's cool. I hope every single round they do. Is that the plan? Do you know if they're supposed to do a different?
Yep.
All right, that's cool.
So Joel said,
I have no idea.
Joel said on the show that it's going to change at every race, which is why the components of the bike are quite black, so the graphics theme can be different every week, and it'll match the bike. Yeah.
Yeah, when I showed up to Daytona and saw the bike and he was standing there, I'm like, what is this? Like, I like it. It's super cool, but like, what is it about? And they're like, it's a Daytona pace car. I'm like, oh, I had no idea.
I didn't have any idea either.
I don't pay that attention to that much stuff. And I mean, I've talked to Joel, but every time I talk to him, we never talk about racing. It's always just NFTs or something stupid.
Right.
So for Texas, I don't know.
So my thought is either Texas flag, right?
Yeah.
Or the Dallas Cowboys, but I know that David Eller is a big Panthers fan.
Yeah,
so I don't
would be Cowboys.
Right. But I know, but Joel referenced like sports teams, like that's going to be part of some of these themes. So it's going to be interesting to see what it is. So Dari Forever wanted to know if we had any guesses. Those would be my two guesses: Texas flag or Dallas Cowboys. I don't know what else it could be.
I think they're great guesses. I really hope he shows up with like huge bull horns, zip tied to the front of the thing. That'd be pretty cool.
Right. Or cowboy hat mounted to the top of his helmet. Yeah,
that'd be cool.
Really play the part.
I'll text him after this. Tell him to do that.
All right, we got one more question here. JP Worth asks, will Racer TV stream every ATV motocross race live? Obviously, every is probably a stretch, I would think. Do you know anything about the video coverage this season, Logan?
I do not know what their plan is. If I had to guess, I think it's just what Gloop does for, producing the TV show and the recap videos after. I don't think they have any plans to do live streaming. I know they did Daytona, but I don't think that's the plan. And I tried to do live streaming last year. It's just,
I know
when you're in tracks in the middle of nowhere, it's super hard. And there's a lot of money that is just, that has to go into getting it produced. And I just don't think so. But we're definitely still going to have the same great coverage from Gloop and I throughout the entire season. You know?
Yep. And that's why I thought it was a relevant question to ask you, because you did the live stream thing last year as best you could. It's really tough. That's the toughest part of all of it, because the series and Racer TV has tried to do this for years. The problem is that half of these races or more, 3/4 of them, are buried out in the middle of nowhere, and you can't get enough coverage to be able to do it. Like I said, I mean, you know better than you did this last year, but that's the problem, or the biggest problem for all the people that say, why can't we do this every week? Daytona, it's easy. It's easy at Daytona. It's different at every other race.
Yeah.
So Logan, can't thank you enough for your time. You fit us into your busy schedule, so I can't thank you enough for that. You're the man. I enjoy it every time you come on the podcast. So thanks so much for being here, giving us some of your time, some insight, and look forward to doing this again soon. Can't wait to see how everything goes at Three Palms.
Yeah. Thanks for having me. I think this weekend is going to be a great, action-packed weekend of racing.
Yeah, I can't wait. That's Logan Tremellen from Tremellen Media House, brought to you by Blendzall Oil. We're going to toss it over to a break, and then we're going to come back with Carlie Hetrick right here on the Digging Deep ATVMX podcast. Thanks, Logan.
Thank you.
As the #1 podcast in ATV racing, it's only right that we partner with the industry leaders in suspension tuning. Insert Impact Solutions. Impact Solutions is a full-service ATV and side-by-side suspension center specializing in the revalving and service of your motocross and off-road suspension. With over 25 years of elite-level knowledge, experience, and testing with riders of all ages and ability levels, Casey Greek, Jay Goebel, and the Impact crew strive to exceed clients' expectations for service and setup. Impact Solutions is the official Elka Suspension Service Center of the United States, offering unmatched product knowledge and experience. Whether you're in need of service, parts, warranty, sales, or technical support, Impact Solutions has you covered. Head over to impactsolutionsatv.com or give them a call today.
We interrupt this program for a special news bulletin.
The following message is brought to you by Manscaped.com. The Manscaped engineering team has outdone themselves this time, creating the Lawnmower 4.0 trimmer, now available for purchase in the US and Canada. Join over 2 million men worldwide who trust Manscaped, an official sponsor of the Digging Deep ATVMX podcast, with this exclusive offer of 20% off and free worldwide shipping with code DiggingDeep20 at manscaped.com. I'm one of the first people to try the new 4.0, and I am blown away. This thing is next level. What sets this trimmer apart from all the rest? The Lawnmower 4.0 gives you the ability to turn the LED spotlight on and off when needed for a more precise shave. It features a new multi-functioning on-off switch with travel lock for those of us who like to travel. And my favorite, the new trimmer allows you to customize your trim with 4 different guard lengths, an upgrade from its predecessor that only featured 2. If you're listening, you know that good tools are a must, so wait no more to get the best tools for the job. Get 20% off and free shipping with code DiggingDeep20 at manscaped.com. That's 20% off with free shipping at manscaped.com by using code DiggingDeep20.
Hey everyone, this is Larry Mills, president of DP Brakes North America and proud partner of the Digging Deep ATVMX podcast. We at DP Brakes are a longtime supporter of ATV racing and the world leader in sintered brake technology, dominating the ATV world for decades by supporting the best four-wheeled racers on the planet. This year's lineup includes Jeff Rastrelli, Mark Baldwin and Baldwin Motorsports, Ford Brothers Racing, Nick Janusa, and many more, including Mr. Digging Deep himself, Cody Jansen. Plus all the top 17 GNCC pros such as 7-time champion Walker Fowler, Bryson Neal, Hunter Hart, Cole Richardson, Jared McClure, Adam McGill, and previous champion Chris Borich. These top riders continue to appreciate the high performance and impressive durability that their DP brakes have to offer. Products that ultimately help place them on top of the podium week after week. DP brakes are available through www.dp-brakes.com, or you can purchase them through your local Parts Unlimited stocking dealer, or you can even message us, myself, Larry Mills, or DP Brakes on Instagram or Facebook. And if you have any questions about product or sponsorship support, please ask us. We are waiting for you. Join the best ATV riders in the world equipped with DP Brakes, and have a great year, everyone.
Nearing 2 decades into the brand's existence, Factory 43 is back and better than ever, continuing to make major waves in the ATV world. For the 3rd consecutive season, Factory 43 is the official aluminum parts choice of the Phoenix Racing ATV team, providing their state-of-the-art Evo Nerf bars, MX-style front bumpers, and grab bars for two-time champ Joel Hetrick. If you're in the market to upgrade your Nerf bars, bumpers, or grab bars, head over to factory43atv.com to see their full line of industry-leading products available for all makes and models. Head over to factory43atv.com today.
Success in the ATV MX world is similar to what creates financial success as well. The right people, the right advice, and more importantly, hard work and the benefit of an ongoing relationship as situations change and adversity is experienced. Do you have the right financial advisor to help you reach your goals? Haymauer Financial Group can create a personalized, goal-based plan to help your family prepare for whatever life brings. Call me, Scott Haymauer, at Haymauer Financial Group, a private wealth advisory practice of Ameriprise Financial Services, at 920-338-8150. That's 920-338-8150. Offices located in beautiful De Pere, Wisconsin, with registrations and clients nationwide.
All right, guys, I'm super excited about this next segment brought to you by our friends at Rocky Mountain ATVMC. Click that Rocky Mountain ATVMC banner at diggingdeepatvmx.com for all your gear and parts needs this season. I just recently used our link to purchase a few things for my new Blue Crew build, so be sure to use that Rocky Mountain ATVMC link on our website to help us out while ordering the parts you need. I am proud to welcome wife of former two-time ATV Motocross national champ, Daytona winner, and current points leader, wife of Joel Hetrick. It's Mrs. Carlie Hetrick. Welcome to Digging Deep, Carlie. Thanks so much for being here.
Thank you for having me.
So I've wanted to invite you on the show for a while now. I talked to Joel about it a little bit. I told him I thought it would be a blast. I thought that people would really enjoy it. And most of all, I told Joel, we cheer for riders that we know, like, about their story. We know who they are. Or I guess I shouldn't even say riders, like athletes. That's what I said. Cause I know Joel's into sports a little bit. Right. So, we cheer for people who we like them as a person. And I think it's important that we get to know, these riders that we love so much, get to know them off the track, away from the racetrack. Who better to give us a glimpse into Joel Hetrick's life than you? Literally the biggest part of his race program, the biggest part of his life. Right. So I figured you would bring a lot to the show, telling us about, everything that you guys deal with, I guess, in day-to-day life, So we'll circle back to that because that's a big question. Obviously, we'll touch on that kind of as we go here. But first of all, I'll ask you the same thing that I asked Joel when he joined us after Daytona. How good was it to get back home, back to your own bed after all those weeks and months away from the house in the camper during Joel's preseason training down at Deckers?
Yeah, it felt really good. It took us a little bit to get back into like the swing of things. We were also like an hour behind in Florida. So when we got home, like the time change hit. So we were dealing with that, but it felt really good to just like walk into our house and like just sit down for a minute, because that entire 2 months we were down south, I mean, we were just nonstop, like trying to entertain two little kids in a motorhome and like do all of his stuff. And I was like trying to keep them like away from him at times so he could like focus on himself. So when I got home, my parents were here and I literally just went on the couch and I just sat there for like an hour. I was like, I'm not getting up. But it was really good. It felt really good to get home.
I can't imagine. So I remember, and this is, me obviously not having kids, not having to entertain all that stuff, but I remember even being in the past, being down south and living out of the camper for months on end, and you get home and everything feels so big and so spread out. And it's like, wow, like, do I really need all this space? Yeah,
I was sleeping in the back with the two kids and Joel was sleeping in the front. So when I got to my own bed, I didn't have like little kids with me. I was like, oh, this is nice.
Oh my gosh, that's awesome. Yeah, Joel kind of gave us the glimpse into that and what it was all like for the family dynamic. And it was awesome to hear from him to say that it meant a ton to him, that like he knew you were sacrificing to make it all work, but he also was able to tell us how much that meant to him and how big of a deal that was for him to not miss out on the family time. So credit to you for making it work. Obviously, credit to all of you, but you having to entertain and do the whole thing out of the camper there, like that had to be tough. So we needed to touch on that because credit to you for sure. So take us through a day in the life of moto wife, mom of two, living out of a camper. Tell me, like, sun up to sundown, like what that was like.
So we woke up at the same time every single morning because Joel is like always on a strict routine when we're doing stuff. So we wake up at 7, we would all have breakfast together and he'd be like out the door by 8 o'clock, I think was like when they all met in the gym to do like a workout.
Okay.
So he would do that, and I would just kind of entertain the kids. He would come back. He would get ready to ride. He would go ride, and I would still be entertaining the kids, like getting them ready for the day. It was nice because at Deckers, they had like a playground and a trampoline and stuff. So I could do that with the kids, and it was right like by the track. So we would do that while he would ride so we could watch him. We would all do lunch together. He would usually take Evelyn like once a day to do something with just them two. So he would take her to ride her little bike on the track. And then we all came together every night at the clubhouse for dinner. So it was literally the same thing every single day, except for like off days or rainy days. We would take the kids into Panama and go do something fun. But
Sure.
I mean, every day it was the same. I kept saying it was like Groundhog Day. I was just like, I've been here for too long. Like I need to do something different. But
it was
good.
It was like 3 months or 2.5 months or something, right? It was a long time.
The day after Christmas and got back the day after Daytona. So yeah, it was like over 2.5 months.
Yeah, that's wild.
Yeah.
That's wild. And so, and you have a little one now who's like kind of into the riding thing, right? Like that's got to be exciting.
It is. It's exciting, but scary. She's already had like a few little crashes. She went for a jump the one day because she was trying to keep up with Joel in the 90 and she crashed. So it's a little scary. Like I know now what my mom talks about, like watching her kids do it. Yeah. And it's like different watching your spouse do it, but then when like your kids get doing it, it's like a whole different type of just stress.
Oh my gosh, I can't even imagine. The one thing though is to have everything that you guys had at Deckers and you know, maybe not with both of the kids, but you've obviously like been with Joel in the preseason stuff before at times where stuff was more spread out, right? Where we didn't have a gym right there. We had to do some more traveling for stuff and traveling to different tracks and whatever. And we've touched on that on a lot of these shows, but what an awesome asset Deckers is to have everything there, because I'm assuming, I mean, if without everything that Decker has, kind of simplifying that process, like Joel would have been gone more, it probably would have been harder to have the whole family together. So Deckers is just a huge asset for you guys and for ATV motocross as a whole.
Yeah, definitely. It's definitely, I was thinking about like last year and how much different it was this year, because Joel's like, I feel like he thrives on being at a track where he can just walk outside and go ride. Like even here at home, he has to drive, like I think the closest track is like an hour. So then he has to drive 40 minutes to the gym and work out. So like exactly what you said, it was definitely really nice being in one spot and like having everything there.
Yeah, that's tough because like I've talked about on some of the shows that we've done previously, I mean, you burn a lot of time, like when you're having to, you know, drive to the track, drive to the gym, whatever, you burn a lot of time doing stuff that way. So moving on to Daytona then. So you watch Joel win Daytona. He's standing on his seat, his arms raised, as happy as we've ever seen him, right? And in that moment, does it instantly make all the sacrifice over the prior couple months? Does it make it all worth it just in that one moment right there?
It definitely does, like 100%. It's just because it's like, it's tough having a family and doing it all. So like even just sacrificing being with the kids and like all of the stuff that was put on me, like watching him do it, it was just, it was definitely a big relief compared to last year, like 100%.
Right. And I think that that's what makes it so special, right? The fact that you and the kids are all there, you're there for all of it, like day in and day out, all preseason, you're all together. And I have to believe that that makes it feel like when he wins, the whole family wins. And that's really special because there are athletes out there, our sport and other sports, where they're, professional life is separate from their family life. And you and I both grew up around this sport completely. Like your family was into it. Obviously Joel's was, like mine was, same thing. But to share that with your family, I think is so special. That's what everybody dreams of. And not everybody has that. And that's just the coolest thing. And I said this to Joel too, but that's just the coolest thing, that you guys are able to do it all together and share it all together, so that when he wins, everybody wins feeling has to be, like euphoric for you guys.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Yeah. So, like I said before, credit to you for creating a family environment, and Joel as well, but a scenario where, you're kind of enabling your husband to continue to chase his dreams and provide for the family. But just know, like, it wouldn't be possible without you and all the stuff you do behind the scenes. It wouldn't be possible without you. And like we kind of touched on already, but Joel knows that. So it has to be cool for you. Like, you hinted to me that you listened to Joel's interview that he did. And that's cool.
It does make me feel like really good that he like notices all the little things. And he sends me, he's a really good guy. He sends me a text every day that just says, thank you for doing this. Like, I don't know how you do it. So it's definitely nice doing it and then being like appreciated for it.
Yeah, that's so special. So you guys have basically you've been through it all with Joel. So tell me, and I have a guess, but tell me how long you guys have been together. Cause it's gotta be like 15 years.
I had to look when I was like going over this stuff today, but
okay,
we're going on 13, but this is our 14th season together.
Okay. Cause I knew, I was like doing the math in my head, and for some reason, 2007 stood out to me, 2007, 2008, something like that. So I was like, it's gotta be damn near 15 years. So
yeah, it was 2009.
2009. Okay. So I knew it was at least that time period, cause I could remember little Joel. Right. And I could remember you two like being together, like seeing you two together at that time. And it wasn't that long ago. And I think you were like doing a questionnaire like on your Instagram or something. And you talked about your ages. So who's older? I was stumped on that.
Joel's older. He's 3 years older than me.
Okay. So cause Joel and I are about the same age. And I thought to myself, I'm like, man, I like literally had to scratch my head for a while. Cause I'm like, well, I think Joel and I are about the same age, but yeah, anyways. So, is there a cool story about you two first like meeting or approaching each other? I thought you might enjoy telling that story.
So we met in 2009. I feel like we like knew each other cause we've been doing the national since I think 2004 or 2005, somewhere around there. So I feel like we like knew each other, but I'm like trying to remember how. I honestly think he got my number from my older brother, Austin.
Okay.
He started texting me, and then he came to my house. My parents got to like know him. And then, it's hard to remember because it was so long ago. We have like 2 kids, and I swear they just wipe your memory away. So it's a little tough, but we met at Pleasure Valley. That was like the first time we ever like hung out. And then so that's kind of cool to go back there and like relive all of that.
Of course. Yeah. So I figured that it was probably not like a clean cut, deal, because obviously you guys were young, and I know exactly what you're talking about. Like we all like just the track crew, like the track people that we know. Right. And then somehow things just, the gears turn and things spiral and now you're together, but it's just cool to think like, all this, like you were the kids at the track, like we were. And, and then all of a sudden, like all these years later, you guys are still there. Joel's kingpin at the track, like he's the guy. And, now you're bringing your kids to the track.
Yeah, that is really cool to think about.
So do you think that Evelyn and Eli, do you think that they'll get into the ATV motocross thing? Do you think you're going to have some little racers there?
Yeah, 100%. We were watching Supercross last weekend. They had like the little KTM guys, and the whole time she was like, I want to do that. I want to go race. So we're definitely going to have 2 little racers on our hands.
So you're in this for life. You're in this for life.
And that's okay. I'm totally in for it. I'm ready to go.
Well, that's awesome. So you guys were together. So 2009, Joel would have been maybe off the 400, like just starting amateur classes, maybe.
He was, when we met, I think he was on, the 400. He like moved up to Pro-Am or something. I was with him his whole Pro-Am season when he won like that one championship. So
yes. So
I think it was like 1 year before pro.
Oh, you're right. Exactly. That's what I was going to touch on, is because he kind of, he raced the 400 for a little while, then jumped up to the amateur classes, then hopped right into Pro-Am like right away. I feel like he was smoking the A class and, then, was in Pro-Am for a short period of time and then right to pro.
Insurance. It's not something everyone likes to talk about, but let's face it, if you race motocross, it's something you should have. Integrated Financial Concepts is an independent financial service and insurance firm who offers moto-friendly insurance and helps out riders like Nick Janusa, Jeffrey Rastrelli, and Joel Hetrick gain confidence on the track. With their unique Safe to Race and Safe to Ride programs, if you qualify, they have the ability to offer life insurance with living benefits to those who ride. With these living benefits, you may have the ability to access a portion of your life insurance policy while you're still living, for things like cancer, heart attack, stroke, or chronic illness. They can also help with many other things, such as home, auto, motorhome, and trailer insurance, as well as college planning, special needs planning, payroll processing, as well as group health benefits for your business. So whether something happens on or off the track, Integrated Financial Concepts has you covered. With their complimentary one-on-one appointments, what are you waiting for? Reach out to Mike Daniele at DANIELE_Michael at nlgroupmail.com today and see how Integrated Financial Concepts can help you. Living benefit riders are supplemental benefits that can be added to a life insurance policy and are not suitable unless you have the need for life insurance. Riders are optional and may require additional premium and may not be available in all states or on all products. This is not a solicitation for any specific insurance policy.
Just like the sport of ATV motocross as a whole, our Digging Deep community is brought together by the love for racing that we all share. Our sport is compiled of many great people, and leading that charge is the Launderville family at Launderville Steel Enterprises and Concrete Supply. This racing-owned family business is a steel and concrete supplier serving the entire United States. Launderville Steel is a full-service steel supplier of new and surplus steel, aluminum, and stainless steel products, headlined by the 4130 chromoly tubing and plate used in the building of chassis for ATVs and UTVs, off-road truck racing, late model dirt and pro tractor pulling series, drag racing, and more. Launderville Steel loves their racing just as much as we do, but don't forget about their concrete division as well. With over 25 years of experience, the Concrete Division can supply everything you need to complete your next business or personal project. Their central Midwest location enables LSE to easily serve customers across the United States. For a quote, additional info, answers to more of your questions, or to talk a little racing, head over to laundervillesteel.com or give them a call today. We are proud to be partnered with yet another racer-owned company. Thank you, Launderville Steel Enterprises and Concrete Supply. Here at Digging Deep, we have an obvious passion for ATVs and pridefully enjoy sharing the sport's history. Since 2019, when the podcast was born, we've been working to partner with individuals who share our passion, but one man and his vision had been missing from our partnership group. Until now. When it comes to the sport's history, the hallowed grounds of Binky's Forever ATC Museum has it all. Binky Tapscott's mind-blowing collection of 3- and 4-wheelers has preserved history by spanning all makes and models, from Honda 3-wheelers in chronological order to unique builds that shaped ATV racing as we know it, like Doug Gust's iconic DRZ-powered hybrid thumper and everything in between. There's no denying Binky's passion, a passion that we certainly relate to here at Digging Deep. Binky's goal is to share his amazing collection with fellow enthusiasts by making his prized possessions accessible to the public via scheduled visits. Follow Forever ATC Museum on Facebook and watch foreveratc.com for further updates on possibly getting a chance to see Binky's Forever ATC Museum for yourself. We are proud to welcome Binky's Forever ATC Museum to the Digging Deep family. We recite on every Digging Deep episode that we are all about aligning with others who share our passion and love for ATVs, and that's exactly what Blendzall is. For more than 60 years, Blendzall Racing Oil has been the secret choice of many championship-winning riders and engine builders. From World Championship kart racing in Europe to California Speedway racing or the mud and rocks of East Coast cross-country racing, thousands of hardcore racers know that nothing out-lubricates or outperforms Blendzall. Even with Blendzall's wide reach into all forms of racing, Blendzall's lead man David Schloss admits that ATV riders are his people. In fact, he's been an ATV enthusiast since 1986 when he first threw a leg over a Suzuki Quad Sport 230. Fun fact, his passion for ATV racing even led him to launch a popular ATV racing magazine in the mid-2000s called ATV Insider. So Blendzall is a small family-owned business that blends and bottles all of its products in Ohio and has ATV roots. Sign us up. That's why Blendzall is the oil choice of the Digging Deep ATVMX podcast. To learn more about Blendzall's rich heritage or to shop Blendzall's full line of 2T and 4T racing lubricants, visit Blendzall.com and follow them at Blendzall on Instagram. Evans Waterless Power Sports Coolant. The best power sports coolant on the market, Evans prevents overheating and boilover so you need not worry about harming your engine or suffering a premature end to your ride no matter what the conditions. Designed for use in ATVs, UTVs, motorcycles, and other power sports equipment, when conditions are at their worst, Evans is at its best. Upgrade to Evans now to avoid overheating and boilover next time you hit the track or trail. Use discount code DIGGINGDEEP20 at checkout to save at evanscoolant.com. Thanks for listening, and remember to support our partners. Now back to the show. So over a decade now, he's been in the pro class, and you've been there, for all of it, like we touched on earlier. So do you have a favorite like racing memory or racing related memory, whether it's at the track with Joel, seeing him succeed, whatever it is? When I say favorite memory, does something pop into your head?
It's definitely when we were at Loretta's and he won his first ever pro championship, because that's just something that like we've talked about the whole time we've been together, and it's like cool to see somebody like fully live out their dream. Like I feel like every one of us like has a dream, and like more than half the time nobody really fulfills it too. So to see somebody actually live out and like do their dream was really, really cool. And it was cool that I was right there beside him, and I went through all the struggles with him and all of the times that he had come like so close and he didn't get it. And so that is definitely like gives me goosebumps like thinking about that moment.
I'm sure, especially because every single day you see the sacrifices that he puts in, all of the effort. And like you said, you saw him get close, time and time again, and then to get over the hump. I assumed that was going to be your favorite memory, but you can't overstate watching somebody grind and grind and grind and finally get it done. And then, like you said, how many people, you dream of being an NFL player, you dream about, being whatever. In our sport, it's, being a pro champion. Every single person at the racetrack dreams of that. 1% of people accomplish it. And, to see what Joel has done and continues to do, and then to be there for all of it. That's kind of what I was getting at was, you were there when he was still in a quote unquote youth class on the 400, and then, amateur classes, pro-am, pro, and then pro champion. To be there for all of it, to share all of it together, man, that's just so special.
It was. It's definitely fun to look back on and to be able to tell our kids one day, like we did it together. Exactly. So that's really cool.
Yeah. And that, they were there for when dad is still racing too. Like, Evelyn and Eli probably is going to remember, dad being a professional ATV motocross racer, which is cool. Yeah. And, and your brothers, Nick and Austin, were both really good racers in their day too. And now, Joel, of course, your family is an ATV motocross family through and through, the family you came from, now the family that you and Joel have built, which is, awesome. And like 50 years from now, ATV motocross is still going to be, always is going to be a huge part of your story, that your family story. And how cool is that? Like all of us, people listening right now, you and I, your family, like we all love ATV motocross, but to have ATV motocross kind of the foundation that your family is built on, as ATV enthusiasts, like it doesn't get much better than that. I feel like.
Definitely. I feel like it's always going to be a topic of conversation, like every Christmas, every holiday, like it always is. So it's just, it's definitely gonna be cool when we're older to like tell everyone like what we did and just like have all those memories that we can like look back on.
So, and I think about that. It's funny you say that because I've thought to myself so many times, because Joel and I and your brother and I are like all similar ages. So I feel like I've raced your brother like a million times. Right. And I've always thought, I'm like, what is it like, at the Mosier family Christmas or at the Hetrick family Christmas where, you got all these motocross racers, right? And it's gotta be, I'm thinking to myself, every holiday has to be ATV motocross all the time.
It is. And my mom's always like, all right, can we like talk about something else? And it's just like a natural thing. Everyone just sits down and remember that time at this race, and just, it's always going to be like that.
Right. Well, I got to imagine that that's just awesome. Like I would, if it was me, I would not want it any other way. So, same. Last question for you before we let you go, Carlie. I don't want to take up too much of your time. I know that you don't have a ton of downtime, so I appreciate you doing this so much. Like I said, all the stuff you juggle as a mom, as a homemaker, Joel's biggest supporter. I appreciate your time so much. But 2022 season, it started with a win at a place where Joel has been snake bitten a few times in the past. You kind of touched on that already. Last year, you guys had some stuff going on in your personal lives with moving from PA to North Carolina and selling the house. We kind of touched on all that with Joel. All that's behind you now. So, all in all, this season just feels different. It feels different than last season. It feels different from the seasons prior. He's now on the Yamaha. The program seems so solid. So give us a prediction. How do you see the 2022 season going for the former two-time champ and current points leader, your husband, Joel Hetrick? I'm not going to put you on the spot. We don't need to make any headlines, but I want to know at least how it feels to you, if it feels different, because from the outside looking in, it sure feels different to me, at least.
Yeah, it definitely is. I was thinking about this today. It definitely is different in the aspect that I feel like he's like mentally a different person. Before it was like, I feel like he would like overlook the whole season and like kind of, I'm gonna do this, 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 and this, and what if this happens? But now I feel like he's taking it race by race, and like, I don't know, just this year is different, like with his mentality, and he like wants to have, like, he has a bunch of goals that he wants to do, not only winning the championship, but he just has a ton of goals that he's never had before. And I don't know, there's just something like a fire under him that I feel like is just going to go and go. So I see him doing really, really well. Obviously, I want him to because he's my husband, but
right.
I don't know, there's just definitely something different. I feel like he's just over all of the years coming close and like having something happen. Everyone like, I don't know, everyone always puts so much pressure on him. And I feel like now he's just like, I'm over it. I don't care. I'm going to take it race by race, do what I have to do. I know what I can do, and just go through it like that. So I feel like that's going to help him a lot, like in the mentality kind of thing with this, rather than being like, I have to do this, this, and this. I don't know. I feel like it's just different. I don't know how to explain it, but he's definitely different this year.
I feel what you're saying, because we've seen stages with Joel, like early on in the pro class, those first couple years or whatever, he was just a kid who was crazy fast. Right. And
crashing all the time.
Right. And then he got a little older, and it was like, he was like super aggressive Joel, like it was, he was just going to go as fast as he could all the time. And now, especially now, but even we saw some of this last year where it's like, he's just turned into the ultimate professional, and I think it's probably just, time spent. And it's kind of one of those things where you have to go through it to learn how to do it this way. But man, he's turned into somebody who like is dotting every I, crossing every T, making sure everything's ready so that on race day, he's just got to do what he knows how to do. Yeah. And I think that that's why it feels, like I said, like this season is different.
Yeah, I feel like he's learned like a lot from even just the past year, like last season. I feel like he's learned like where all of his mistakes are and like how, he handles like situations like out on the track, like in the race. So I feel like he really just like, I don't know, like figured it out. Like I finally feel like he figured it out, and I feel like he's going to do good.
Well, and I think that, and I can't speak on this personally, but I've seen enough racers and other athletes, kind of go through this transition where when you become a father and you become, a family man and all these things, it's not like you'd think, like sometimes you'd think it'd be more pressure, but I don't think it is. I think it's less, because it's like, it's not the end of the world anymore. Like earlier when you're younger, it's like like you live and die by the results, and you get a little older and it's like, like he wants to win. Obviously you want him to win. You can, Joel Hetrick wants to win as bad as anybody wants to win, but it's not life or death, So when you can make it so that like, you want to win as bad as you can, but I like my self-worth isn't based on how I do. I feel like that almost enables people to grab another gear, if that makes sense. Yeah.
Like, I feel like he knows that, like, his kids know how hard he works. Like, I know how hard he works. So like you said, the result is the result, but at the end of the day, he tries his best. He does what he can, and whatever the results are what they are.
That's all that matters. That's exactly right. Like, I feel like that's a message that we preach a lot of times, but it's like first or last, as long as you give it everything you have. And I think that that's something that I like to touch on, because you kind of want people, even like younger kids coming up, to know that like first or last, as long as you give it everything you have, you should be able to sleep well at night knowing like, hey, like I tried my best, and that's all a person can ask.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So I do think that there's just something special about this year. And I think that he's got all his I's dotted, T's crossed. I think it's going to be a special year for him. And I assumed that's what we were going to hear from you too. So we heard it here. But Carlie, I can't thank you enough for joining us. This has been a blast. I look forward to getting you back on again soon. We have some cool stuff coming up, some stuff in the works that I'd really like you to be a part of. So stay tuned for that. But for now, can't thank you enough for doing this. You rock. And I appreciate you giving us a little insight into Joel's life and your lives as a whole. I think so many people love you guys. So many people pull for you guys. And that's why I thought it'd be a fun thing to get you on here. And like I said, I appreciate all your time, and I look forward to doing this again.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thanks so much. All the best to you and your family. And we'll see you guys soon. Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks, Carlie. Let's freaking go. Time to go racing. Major thanks to tonight's guests, Logan Tremellen and Carlie Hetrick. Thanks to producer Dallas Jansen, my brother, for all his hard work. Thanks to Brooke and AMA official Harv Whipple. Thanks to our donors. You know who you are. We appreciate you so much, all of you. Thanks to all of our partners, CST Tires. Go to shop.csttires.com today. Yamaha, thanks to Blue Crew. Thanks to SSI Decals, DID Racing Chain, Namura Technologies, Bronco ATV and UTV Components, Impact Solutions, Launderville Steel Enterprises and Concrete Supply, the financial advice of the Haymauer Financial Group, Forworks Carbon, DP Brakes, Factory 43, Integrated Financial Concepts and their Safe to Race and Safe to Ride insurance programs, Binky's Forever ATC Museum, Blunzall Oil, the official oil choice of Digging Deep, Evans Waterless Power Sports Coolant, and Manscaped. Get 20% off and free shipping with code DiggingDeep20 at manscaped.com. Support the brands that support our show, and don't forget to use those codes to save. Find it all on our website, and be sure to click those Rocky Mountain ATVMC and Amazon banners for all your gear and parts needs, everyday needs, and to help us out. And most of all, thanks to you guys for listening. Our show merchandise is available at shop.diggingdeepatvmx.com, so check that out. If you're looking for an easy way to support us, visit our website and click the Patreon or Buy Me a Coffee buttons. This allows you to set up a one-time or monthly contribution to support our efforts. Give us a call using our voicemail line. Give us a reaction to the show, the races, and or everything in between so we can play them on the show and react to what you have to say. The number is 920-569-3519. We want to hear from you, so give us a call. Follow the show on social media, Digging Deep ATVMX Podcast, and myself, Cody Jansen, for additional content, coverage, and some more fun stuff throughout the 2022 season. You can find us on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Amazon Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, and more. Wherever you find podcasts, you'll find the Digging Deep ATVMX Podcast. All episodes, additional podcast providers, sponsor links, and discount codes, show merchandise, fantasy info, and more can all be found on our website, diggingdeepatvmx.com, so check that out today. Digging Deep ATVMX fantasy season is here, of course, and it's not too late to get in on all the prizes, the bragging rights, and all the fun. So if you haven't done so yet, head over to atvfantasy.com right now to sign up before the gate drops at 3 Palms. Be a friend, tell a friend, please download, subscribe, rate, review, and share. And with that, for Logan Tremellen, Carlie Hetrick, Brooke Catherine, Dallas Jansen, and I'm your host, Cody Jansen. Thanks for listening to and making us the #1 podcast in ATV racing with over 145,000 downloads monthly in 84 total countries. Until next time, thanks for joining us in Digging Deep with the Stars of ATV Motocross. See you next week. Things are crashing and burning here at the Digging Deep podcast, much like the Titanic.
Those guys were hauling ass, for real.
I remember watching Doug Gus, I don't know who it was, Steel City, running the same times Friday afternoon as James Stewart was on Sunday back then. It was mental. I've never seen quads go that fast.
Quad leaders are freaking gnarly.